Hello and howdy. Welcome to the Front Range Hockey Podcast. My name is Nchc Hawkley.
What's up, gang? Scott McDonald coming at you live, ready to go on this fine Thursday evening.
He's got his handle and his little name badge right there, name bar right there, at Off Scott Free. That O
That's
is
me.
a 0. Yes, you can find him on the Twitterverse under that handle. So welcome to the show, everybody. Glad you could join us again for episode number 6 of Front Range Hockey. And we made it, Scott. As you like to say, we made it, man.
We made it. Yeah.
Boom.
See, before you know, we're going to be at 6D and then,
Oh.
100 and fucking
Yeah.
who knows where
That's what
the
I'm
wind's going to
talking
take us.
The wind, yes.
This is probably the earliest we've ever recorded one, though.
It's true.
It's like broad daylight. I mean, it's like 5 p.m., but
yeah, and we're on the other end of the winter solstice, so days are getting longer.
a little bit longer,
and yeah, both you and I have some natural light going on in our settings now, so
yeah, I probably should have turned some lights on because it's like inevitably going to get dark at like 5:30, and then if you guys are watching the video variation of this podcast, then I'll be probably in just blackness by the end of this. But
yes, Scott will
whatever.
have disappeared, and you'll just see like a hoodie and his face because he's got
just
that
a disembodied
black
voice. Yeah,
just a disembodied voice of Scott McDonald. And I'm Nchc Hawkley. Thanks for tuning in. Can't see Scott right now, but that's all right. No, so. Well, hey, this show is going to be airing on Friday, February 19th, 2021. So thanks for listening. We're recording it the night before. So if there's any confusion, and if we say, Friday or anything like that, it's because we're recording it the night before. So don't get too far out in the woods. That's where we're at, and that's why we're recording ahead of time. So don't worry about it.
Use your contextual clues. You'll get it, all you listeners.
Exactly. You guys are smart. We're not going to insult your intelligence.
We're not gonna undersell you guys.
Yes, exactly. So let's get started, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. The Avs have returned to play. But first, before we get into that, I did want to say on the air, right at the top of the show, Scott McDonald. Yeah, you know what I'm going to say. Scott McDonald is now an official member of the Pro Hockey Writers Association, the PHWA. Congratulations, my dude. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it feels good. I appreciate all the shout outs too on social media, and you even shouted me out on your Facebook too, and it was really nice. And it's could have done it without the support of my friends like you, and yeah, it's cool. It hasn't, I guess, like set in yet. I don't think like I necessarily deserve it, but we're here, and yeah, it feels good. I'm a youngster, and I've made it this far already, and I guess I'll keep grinding away. We'll see where we can take this thing.
Yeah. I mean, like I was telling Scott before the show, and it was, just completely, one-on-one guy talk, completely genuine. Just the fact that his features for Colorado hockey now and before with, Mile High hockey, it was just, he puts out great feature pieces. Like that's something that I think is Scott's strength is that, he really gets to the bottom of a story to give it that personal touch, in regards. I mean, even today with Hunter Miska and the fact that, he had a false positive for a COVID-19 test. And I mean, Scott dropped some knowledge on me that I didn't even know. I mean, I live here in Colorado too, and I didn't even know this, but the Department of Health actually doesn't consider a false positive a thing. Like that's not a thing for the Department of Health in Colorado.
Yeah. I guess they really cracked down on it a few months back and just said like, I mean, if you test positive at all, it doesn't matter if it's like a real or fake test or a false positive. Like we're still it's better safe than sorry kind of situation. So yeah, I mean it's unfortunate, but he's already been cleared by the NHL because again I now just recently got an update from the same source that said they're waiting on his 5th test result to come back and they're fully expecting to be negative. The last 4 have been negative now. So he's been cleared from like NHL's protocol list, but now he still has to stay quarantined because of the state of Colorado's rules and regulations. So I think Tuesday he'll be out of that and can rejoin the team. So I mean it's better than it was before. He could have been out for, I think the NHL protocol is 10 days plus if they present a couple false positives, and the way the Avs have kind of laid out their they do pass those 10 days that to come in for cardio testing and like ride the bike or do some stamina stuff, whatever it is, and then they can start working out off the ice, and then I think they have to wait another 4 days before they can go on the ice and join the team. So it's like a full 2-week process. So the fact that it was a false positive, it still sucks. That he deserves to be with the team, and he's bummed that he's going to miss out on the game, the big Lake Tahoe game. All for like something that he doesn't deserve to miss it,
Right.
But Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it could have been worse. He's cutting the time in half. Essentially, it's only 7 days he has to be out instead of 14, and yeah, it's cool. But thanks. Going back to your original point, like I appreciate the whole the whole feature thing, and that's always kind of been my philosophy on just like
Hmm.
journalism. Like, I mean, you can regurgitate stats all you want to, and that's fine. That's all well and good, but I like to get to like the meat of the players and kind of tell that story, because I think that's what fascinates the fans the most is try to get them a little closer to their heroes or whatever, like the people they look up to and they watch on the ice like with passion every single time. And I think it's cool to kind of get to know like the human element of it. And I've always been more into like just human interest pieces, I guess, more than regular journalism stuff. And they're more fun to write for me too, just like get to know, and you get closer with the players and you develop that kind of personal relationship with them when
Hmm.
you're asking about their family, or you're asking about how they're feeling about like COVID, or like are you having any symptoms, like stuff like that. Like I think they appreciate that, and you can get more out of the players that way than just asking them like, wow, you had a great game today, tell me how you feel. So do a little digging. It's so all you young journalists, I'm a young journalist, so I'm not even going to give advice, but uh, as a PHWA member, here's my advice to you. No. But yeah, I mean, just
Pulling that
like,
card already. Come on, Scott.
exactly.
Don't get
Just
a
like,
big head already.
right. But yeah, just like, I mean, get to like,
Uh,
just do some like digging, like more than the superficial, like analytics numbers, like to read their bios and stuff like that. And yeah, I think like one of my favorite pieces I've done so far was Jacob McDonald, like learning that he was an Avs fan growing up, and that was probably the most fun I've had, like writing a story. Got in touch with
sure.
his like Pee Wee coach, the one that like inspired him to become an Avs fan. He said that's the whole reason why he was an Avs fan, is because his coach, when he started playing hockey back in Portland, Oregon, always wore like Avs stuff. So he kind of just like, it was his first exposure to hockey. He loved his coach, and his coach loved the Avs. So just like inherently just became a fan of the Avalanche and has been watching them ever since. And now he's playing for them. So that's cool. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, we got off on a
No.
tangent there. But yeah, human interest pieces, do it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. No, I appreciated that little caveat because of the fact that like some of my best features that I've done, it's kind of been the same way. Like my very first series that I covered as a credentialed journalist was the end of November 2017. The Tulsa Oilers were playing the Idaho Steelheads in the ECHL, and there was a guy on the Tulsa Oilers. His name was Joey Sides, and
Mhm.
Joey grew up in Sun Valley, Idaho, but he had never played against the Idaho Steelheads.
Wow.
So it was kind of like a homecoming for him. His family was
Yeah.
there and everything. So I'm like, I'm gonna go interview this dude. Like this was my first weekend series, and I'm just like, I'm gonna get in touch with Tulsa's, it was John Peterson at the time, Kalamazoo's media director and broadcaster now, but got in touch with John and was like, hey, can I interview this guy? And he goes, yeah, sure. And so I interviewed Joey Sides, and that was my first feature piece. And it's like, yeah, to any aspiring journalists out there, I'd say the same thing. Just pay attention, look at the stat sheet, look for the storylines, and sometimes they just fall into your lap as well.
Hmm.
Riley Weslowski, he's played 700 plus ECHL games now. I was actually there for his 600th game, and they announced it over the PA and everything. I went and interviewed him and everything. And come to find out, his first season with the Steelheads, he started his career with the Steelheads, played most of it with the Rapid City Rush. He broke his back his first year with the Steelheads.
Oh
And he
wow.
came back from that. And like I said, 700 plus pro games played between the CHL and the ECHL. It's like, dude, like sometimes these stories, like, yeah, that's inspirational. That's the human interest, the human element side behind the stats and everything. So I'm exactly on the same page as you, Scott. It's just those human element stories. I love doing them, and the fans love to hear it too, because there's always that behind the scenes, behind the numbers and the stats
Yeah.
and what you see on the ice. There's those personal stories. And so the fact that you do them so well, continues to inspire me. It's like, all right, I need to get a good feature piece out because I haven't done one in a while. So,
Yeah.
so
Well, I appreciate
roundabout
that.
way, of course, man, roundabout way of saying congratulations once again. And
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, yeah, you bet. And so we'll continue on with the Avalanche. How's that
I
sound?
promise I'll stay humble. I'm not gonna, let it get to my head. Start charging a fee
No.
or whatever to record these podcasts. Like,
Yes.
you have to talk
I
to my PR person
yes.
before to schedule things out.
Have your people talk to my people, and we'll
Exactly.
and we'll work it out.
Yeah. No, not at all.
Slurping your coffee
Yeah,
pretentiously or
exactly.
whatever you're drinking.
What time is
No.
my massage appointment again? I
Ooh,
forgot.
excuse me, Frederick, can you enlighten me?
Where are
And
my grapes?
where are my grapes, Frederick? Yes, no, yeah, you are gonna
I
stay
wish.
humble for sure.
No.
Yeah, right. That'd
That's
be
one
nice.
day. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's talk Colorado Avalanche. Like we touched on, Hunter Miska. So he got basically. I don't want to say sent down because Miska's kind of a AHL NHL fringe guy as it is, but Miska was placed with the Colorado Eagles today alongside Mika Salamaki, Kiefer Sherwood, and TJ Tynan. Much needed forward support for the Eagles. We'll get to that here in a bit. But is that just a paper transaction then, from what you alluded to earlier, Scott?
With Miska?
Yeah. Like, is he
Yeah.
actually gonna? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think like that's probably what it is. Just since he's like not making the trip or whatever, they need to like clear some room for another goalie to travel. I guess probably to Lake Tahoe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just probably a paper transaction. Like he's, still at home. Like he hasn't left the state. Obviously, he can't. But yeah, it's just to save some salary cap, make some room for the taxi squad, and they like to bring as many healthy people as possible on the road with them. That's obviously in case anything happens or whatever. So yeah, I wouldn't look too much into that. He's going to remain the backup goalie when he comes back. Hopefully Tuesday. It sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
So currently it's Philip Grubauer, Adam Warner, and then on the taxi squad, you've got rookie Peyton Jones. Okay. Yeah, I had a question about that, about the goaltending depth chart coming into the Tahoe series. And yeah, that kind of segues well into our next topic. And in the games that the Avs actually did play, and the 2 games after a 5-game hiatus, they finally came back on Valentine's Day and they played to a 1-0 loss. Max Pacioretty got the lone goal for the Vegas Golden Knights, 1-0 shutout of the Colorado Avalanche on Valentine's Day. Then the Avs come back in the second game 2 days later, 3-2 victory. Nazem Kadri, you might as well call him Clutch Kadri, because 40 seconds remaining in regulation, boom. Like you posted on social media, that same shot with him scoring with
0.1 second left.
0.1 seconds left, and you're like, same energy.
Yeah,
it totally
that's what he does, man. That's Kadri's thing, and he's become like known for it. I actually did some like research after that, just like wondering. I was like, okay, he's done this like a few times now. Like, I wonder how many game-winning goals he has. Went back from like his draft year to like the 2021 season that like we're in right now to see how many like game-winning goals he had. It's actually not that much. I think that was his 24th career game-winning goal, but
okay,
I think I actually saw it's like McKinnon might be like top 10 since like he got drafted, and Gabe Landeskog is like a guy that surprised me too. I think he has the most game-winning goals of the Avs like over the last like few seasons. So fun fact, unrelated to Kadri, but yeah, Nas doing it again. Nasty Nas.
Nasty
and,
Nas.
good for him. Like, a few podcasts into this thing, we were talking about how like the second line was not performing well. Kadri has that monkey on his back. Like, he's not playing well, is clearly frustrated. And now that line is killing it. Whether it's Saad, Saad scored in the last game too. I think he's like tied for second. He's right behind Mikko Rantanen for the team leading goals. He has 6 goals now, and yeah, that whole second line is just producing with Kadri and Saad, and ever since we talked about it. So I don't know if we did something to the universe to make that happen, but it's good to see that they all kind of shed the monkey off their back, and they're all playing really well right now.
Yeah, and there is something to be said about chemistry. I mean, when you're with guys, I think when you're just starting out with new guys and a new team like Brandon Saad, I've mentioned that in the past as well. There's going to be some adjustments. I think the Colorado Eagles, with as many young guns that they have and new faces like Mike Vecchione rather, and all the other, Mika Salamaki, Kiefer Sherwood, all the other ones I mentioned joining the club, like there's going to be a chemistry. That's why I think the Eagles are 0-2-1 right now, is because of the fact that, they've hung in these games. All 3 of their first games have been 1-goal games. They've hung in there. Trent Miner, the goaltender from the Vancouver Giants, he'll probably go back there in the middle of March. He's done well, but there's, you got new defense. You've got, it's like there was such a big turnover, and there's so many, not so many, but there's, Jean-Luc Foudy coming in and playing, top line minutes, and, him coming in and trying to make an impact. It's like, there's something to be said about chemistry. And so for Brandon Saad to come in and to be the professional that he is, to figure it out quickly. I mean, that's just a testament to who he is as a hockey player and obviously the championship caliber style of, just being a professional and being someone to come in, to plug in, to figure out the chemistry quickly and make an impact.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's awesome seeing like these, these young kids like really making a difference, and they've been impressive, for the first like handful of games, and Minor's one of them too.
Mm-hmm.
He's hanging with it, and it's a tough ask, as like a guy just coming. It's like the Bowen Byram situation, like same team, Vancouver Giants,
Mm-hmm.
just coming out like as such young guys and being asked to do such big things like at the highest level that they're playing at currently. Like Bowen Byram is like the number one defenseman now in the Avalanche. He's playing every game. He's playing more minutes. Like I think last game he played like 24 minutes, 23 minutes before
25, that. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, yeah, he's playing like first power play unit. It's like the dude is 10 games into his career, and like he's just being forced to like in all these like, kind of situations where it's like we're asking you to grow up really fast, and they're doing it very well. And like Minor's the same way at the AHL level. It's like, I mean, he went from taking a year off, like while the coronavirus thing was going on and there was no hockey happening, and all of a sudden now he's playing at the AHL when he's not supposed to be playing for the AHL, and he's up against grown men and holding his own. Like, yeah, he's not gotten a win yet, but his stats are decent, and I wouldn't say any of the goals are necessarily like his fault that he's let in so far. And it's cool to see. I mean, it's, again, we've touched on it a few times, probably like every podcast now, about how in a different world, had it not been COVID times, whatever, these guys wouldn't have the opportunity to be doing what they're doing. And that's only good for the players, like they're being asked to grow up a lot quicker, and they're getting so much more like valuable experience at an early age. That's only going to pay off like dividends, down the road. So it's good for them. And, as far as the team goes, we're not seeing the wins yet, but to your point, it is like, it's a slow process. You got a bunch of young guys who aren't supposed to be here that are now like being asked to like be put together in different line combinations. And you got the taxi squad kind of messing things up, and players are coming in and out of the locker room, and it's hard. And like chemistry is everything in sports, especially in hockey, when you have line mates that you play with, night in, night out, to know where they're at on the ice and like know what kind of plays you guys run. It's tough when obviously those lines are switching up all the time. So it's been exactly kind of what I expected as far as the start goes for the Eagles side of things. And I think the wins will start coming, but we just need to, I guess, kind of flatten out a little bit and, not have so much parity going on and players coming in and out of the lineup.
Yeah, when you're dealing with injuries too. I mean, obviously you had a number of players called up right before the Eagles home opener, and basically a good majority of your top two forward lines was gone. So, you had these guys that had to step up that were, either, third pairing. I mean, Ryan Wagner leads the team in scoring currently, and he was on the third or the fourth line for the Eagles last year. I mean, he got called up from the Grizzlies and made an impact, and in February and March of last year. And so him stepping up and kind of taking that role. I mean, he laid out a big hit on Cameron Gauntz last night for the Ontario Reign. It's like he's stepping up, and it gives that opportunity. It just shows that, again, we've preached it. We've run it into the ground, and we'll say it again. Depth matters when it comes to your hockey organization, whether it's the AHL level, whether it's the ECHL level. You've got to be able to accommodate for these injuries. And I think, the Eagles, with the slow start that they do have, it's a testament to them that all of these games have been close and they've been 1-goal games, 2-3-2 outcomes, one of them going into overtime against the Gulls, and one of them being a 2-1 effort against the Ontario Reign on Wednesday night. You like you said, you've got these young guys. They have a great opportunity with the Canadian Hockey League being postponed. It's like, this is a buzzword time, unprecedented. But the fact is, they have such a unique opportunity to play the professional game before they go back. It's not like during a normal season where it's like, oh, maybe they'll get a few games here with, an AHL club or an ACHL club and then go back or something like that. But they have a chance to really get a good amount of games, maybe even somewhere between 5 and 10 under their belt, and really be like, okay. And then they can go back to, the WHL or the OHL or whatever other league is going to figure it out and start play in the middle of February, or the middle of in the middle of March rather. So yeah,
Yeah.
the Eagles, they're going to figure it out. And especially, like I mentioned earlier, with Tynan coming back, with Salamaki joining the club, and also with Kiefer Sherwood. I mean, he impressed so much out of Avalanche training camp that, they kept him close by and kept him there on the taxi squad. So to have those guys back and to have the leadership of Tynan as well, I mean, that was a guy that his name was being floated as being the captain coming into the season. But, with with everything up in the air and taxi squad guys, it's like,
I don't
you
think
put
they
it on
picked one
Patterson.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they? Yeah. Okay.
They did. Yeah. They put it on Greg Patterson for the time being. Cause I mean, all your other guys are on the taxi squad. So you got to have a captain.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird situation, and like you got to feel for like guys like head coach Greg Cronin for like the Eagles, where it's just like, man, like this is tough. Like, I mean, it's already tough to begin with, and we've had conversations about that, where it's like, how is it like different being an AHL coach versus like an NHL coach, or like even college? And it's like, well, like college and the NHL, like it's pretty much the same group like throughout the entire thing. Like AHL is the only league where it's like you got guys coming from the ECHL and like the NHL back and forth, and it's like it's hard to kind of like establish that rapport with your players and like try to like develop that chemistry and foster that kind of energy and that culture in the locker room when guys are just coming in and out. It's kind of like a revolving door. So it's tough, and he's doing the best he can, and that's all you can do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Coach Cronin definitely has his work cut out for him, and, trying to tinker with pairs and, bringing in other guys that may be healthy scratches. I know Luca Burzan, hasn't played all 3 games, but he's played a couple now. And, obviously, like I said, Jean-Luc Foudy's getting a real hard look. I know Coach Cronin said before the first game there against San Diego on that Saturday. I kept saying Friday last episode, but it was actually Saturday the 13th instead of Friday the 12th. But yeah, before that game, Coach Cronin spoke with Kevin McGlew about, hey, the Avalanche really want us to take a good look at Foudy and get him some, good amount of time on the ice. And that's exactly what they're doing. And, that again, boy, these transitions are seamless. I'm liking this tonight. Jean-Luc Foudy, that's a guy I wanted to talk about. I've seen him in a couple games now. Like I said, I caught the season opener, I caught the Ontario Reign game. Jean-Luc Foudy, he's got a lot of potential, and his speed and his movements are, if I can use a close reference point, there's and don't nail me to the wall or anything for this, because if it doesn't pan out, then I don't want to be I don't want to be completely crucified or anything. But he's got some McKinnon-esque tendencies about him. Like it's
Whoa,
yeah,
that's
just
okay.
tendencies.
Okay.
He's not he's young, and he's really kind of too cute with the puck sometimes. I will say that. Like, he wants to do too much. Like, he makes the pass when he should hold on to it. He holds on to it when he should make the pass. But his movement and his skills, like he was doing some great drop back passes, and he's got good breakout speed. Like, he's got a hell of a wrist shot too. I mean, real quick snap on his shot when he puts it on net and he's not trying to create a play or, set up a play rather. But yeah, Jean-Luc Foudy, I've been really impressed of what he has to offer. And like I said, it's not overwhelming, just blind praise that I'm giving him. He's got some stuff that he needs to work on, but he drew a couple penalties against the Ontario Reign last night. Like, he's willing to get in there and mix it up and to be part of the play. And so, for a young kid coming in, again, he's going to resume his CHL career. You got to believe that when he, goes back there, whenever, again, we'll say mid-March, but the fact is that, Foudy's done a good job, and he's put in some time. No goals, no assists right now. He's got a couple of penalty minutes, but if and when he heads back to Windsor up there in the OHL, I mean, 18 years old, he's got a lot of room to grow and a lot of room to improve. And, he's a 5'11", $177. So kind of on the smaller side, but again, you staple him to the strength and conditioning coach for a year or two, and you put some muscle on that frame. But yeah, that's my my little sidebar on Foudy there. I don't know if you got a chance to really watch him or
No, I mean, not really. Like, he's that's just like a guy that, Cronin, like also we talked about it, I
Hmm.
think last episode or 2 episodes ago. Like he kind of pegged as a guy that like stood out and impressed him through the first week of training camp. And I mean, it's cool to see that you kind of have the same scouting report. And would you say he's like the guy that's kind of stood out to you the most so far?
I mean, it's definitely, I mean, with Cronin saying pregame before the season opener, it's somebody that I've paid attention to, more so. I mean, Trent Miner's another guy. Like I said, Ryan Wagner's really stepped up his game. I think he's playing first line minutes, if not second line. But yeah, I mean, Trent Miner's looked poised and, just really kind of calm and composed in goal. And so, yeah, those guys and Jean-Luc Foudy, yeah, he was mentioned earlier. So I've made it a point to keep an eye on him. But, when he has the puck, it's obviously like, okay, he's trying to have some quick movements and, maybe shake off the defender or, push it into the zone. But yeah, he's still figuring things out at the pro game. But yeah, Foody's definitely one. Miner, Wagner, definitely guys I've kept my
Nice.
eye on for sure.
Yeah. I would say like I've been impressed with just Wagner. Whether it's like last season, him kind of stepping in and obviously earning that contract in the offseason too, like the Eagles and Avs saw something in him too. And yeah, now he's kind of just like rocketing out of the gate. And of course he's getting these opportunities when, the Megnas and the Tynans and all those guys are up with the Avalanche. So he's getting more
Mhm.
minutes and he's playing, top line minutes and he's doing well. I mean, I love like his speed. I love he's kind of like a bit of a Tasmanian devil out there sometimes. And I like that about him. Like he's just, it's kind of, I don't want to say balls to the wall. I don't know if like that's appropriate, but that's how he plays. It's almost a lot like a Logan O'Connor kind of,
Mm.
just like grinder. Like he'll go hit people if he needs to hit people, and he's always just kind of like hunting for the puck, and that's something big. And Cronin likes to use the word visibility all the time about players. Like if you were a fan in the stands, it's your first hockey game. Is that a guy that you would notice on the ice? And he's always said like Logan O'Connor's kind of always embodied that, visibility mantra that he lives by. And I've always kind of taken that too. And just when I'm like, I guess watching games or whatever, like, oh, that's kind of how I look at it too. It's like, I'm not even going to notice like numbers like right away. I just want to see like who catches your attention like right off the bat. And obviously like McKinnon is one of those guys where it's like, okay, this guy is like clearly in a league, above everyone else. Like he's lightning fast, like he's exciting to watch. And I would say Wagner when he's on the ice is one of those guys. Like it's so it's cool, and it's like it's cool he's getting these opportunities to play these top line minutes, and like he might even earn this role when like the Megnas and the Tynans come back full time. I think he's going to be a guy that'll probably play top six, and I'm excited to see what he does this year.
Yeah, it was really neat it's been really neat, I should say, to see him thrive and do so well, even with the Eagles' struggles to get over the hump and get that first victory. And, like we talked about, coming in, splitting time between the Grizzlies and the Eagles last year, and now really getting a chance to shine and really getting a chance to be a part of this organization. Yeah, it wasn't a pleasant surprise. Well, it wasn't a surprise. It was definitely like pleasantly like, okay, yeah, the Eagles re-signed him to another AHL contract in the offseason. They better, because this guy is, he, like you said,
Could be
balls to the
special.
wall,
Yeah.
could be special. Exactly. So he's not afraid to put the body on. He's not afraid to drive into the offensive zone and force a shot and to really get in deep on the goaltender and make him commit, so that if there's another guy trailing, Wagner's also not afraid to be a playmaker and to pass the puck off as well. So yeah.
He just has fun too. Like he's one of those guys that's just like, he's always smiling on the ice and like he's just like has that happy to be here kind of like mentality. Like he's like, I was playing in the ECHL, and like now I'm in the AHL. Like let's just play. I'm gonna play my game. And when he scores goals, he celebrates, and it's always fun to see that. Like that players like having fun. It makes them like a lot more likable. And I think when a player is like that energetic and is having that much fun, obviously like the performance translates on the ice. And in the locker room, they become a locker room favorite, and like that's how you become a staple on a team, and that's how you earn these contracts. And I think that's something that probably contributed to him getting a contract as well. One, obviously his talent, but two, I think he's very well liked in the locker room, and the coaches like him. He does his job. He has fun, and that's that's what you want on a team.
Yeah, and again, it's another small guy. I didn't realize Wagner was this short in stature. He's 5'8", 185. So I mean, even though he's smaller, he definitely has that, as a 5'4.5" gentleman, I use this term endearingly, kind of the small man syndrome where he's like, all right, I'm going to pop you in the teeth and show you who's boss. But yeah, he plays bigger than 5'8". So seeing that is kind of a surprise to me. It's like, holy cow, 5'8", 185 pounds. He's like, that's a brick house coming at you. He's like,
that's a big man. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, not big man, but like he's well filled out, I guess I'll say. Like 185 for those dimensions are solid. Like there's people that are, like 6 foot, like 6'2", 180. So
right. And there were some rookies and some younger guys we covered in our season previews on the Calder Farmstead. They were like 6'1", $155, $165, and you're just like, oh, you need some GNC, bro.
Yeah, so you need to. Yeah, you're working double time with the conditioning coach. So you're staying extra. No rest days for you, my guy.
Yeah, for real, for real. So Eagles' next game coming up against Ontario. They're finishing out their 5-game road trip in California there. So they've got Ontario on Friday, and they've also got, guess who? San Diego. They're going back to San Diego on Saturday, and then on Wednesday, the 24th, they're going to be coming back home to Colorado to play Tucson in their home opener at the Budweiser Events Center. That's Wednesday, February 24th at 7:05 p.m. Mountain Time. So,
are you going to that?
I hope so. I hope they'll allow it.
Yeah, actually, I haven't talked to Kevin about that. I don't know. I guess now we're kind of having a little side conversation, but yeah, I was like hoping to go to that, but yeah, I don't know if like what the rules are with like media this year. I think everything's gonna be done over Zoom like it is in the NHL anyway.
Sure. But yeah.
It'd be cool to just be there,
Oh, absolutely. And to actually, are we gonna meet in person and be like,
say we could?
Yeah. Be like, did we just become best friends?
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I don't think me and Nchc we've never like really met in person. I don't think.
No,
I think I was supposed to go like when he first like DM'd you like a year or two ago. I think like yeah, we were supposed to be at that game, and I think that it might have been like a winter storm or some shit. I don't know what happened, but I ended up like just not going, and we have not talked since until until CC came to me with this front range hockey idea, and we've been virtual best friends ever since.
We've been virtual besties, as the kids say.
So that's right.
Yeah, I'm trying to be hip, trying to be with it. I'm not Gen Z.
It's totally working. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've got my starb here. No.
Here we go.
Hey,
Lord.
It was double stars day, and the girlfriend decided to hook a brother up. So
hey,
there you go.
Nice. Never say no to free coffee. I'm all about that.
For sure. So, anyway, I digress. So the Eagles, that's coming up. I did forget to mention the Lake Tahoe game. That's going to be Colorado versus Vegas on Saturday. Game starts at 1 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Eastern.
I will be there.
You're going to be there. Yeah.
Officially got credentialed for it. I'm in for quite a 36-hour excursion.
Holy
so I'm working my full-time, big boy job tomorrow until 4. I'm flying out of DIA like 10 p.m. on Friday. Landing at San Francisco. That was the cheapest option. Reno was like $250 or something round trip, but San Fran was like $100. So I opted for that. Picking up my rental car at 5 a.m. So your boy is sleeping at the airport. Like I land at midnight. I'm going to try to get 5 hours of sleep at SFO airport and pick up my rental car and then drive like 4 hours straight to the game. My sister lives in Reno, so I'm going to, after the game, pop in and say hi to her. Hi, Nikki, if you're listening. I'll see you there. I hope I haven't told her yet, so I hope she doesn't. I'm going to tell her tonight. I was like, I hope she doesn't find out like through this podcast. It'd be kind of awkward.
What the hell, Scott?
Yeah, it's so sick. Yeah, and then I'm gonna crash in Reno and then drive back Sunday morning to San Francisco, drop the car off, fly out. I'll be back in Denver in time for dinner time at like 5 o'clock. So it's gonna be a quick runaround trip, but I'm excited. It's gonna be a cool setting. I've seen some pictures of what it looks like and some of the entertainment that's gonna happen, and I'm fully expecting to be one of like the very few media people that are actually like willing to, in COVID times, go make this trip. So we'll see. We'll see what kind of free swag I can get out of it. And I don't know.
Hook a brother up, will you?
I will. I'm sure. Like I said, there's probably not gonna be like too many media, so they'll have plenty of like leftover beanies and like sweatshirts or whatever they hand out to the media at these things, and I'll see if I can snag you one.
Oh, hell yeah. That'd be great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I'm a large, by the way. So.
Okay. Noted.
No, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, all swag aside, no, that's great that you get to be boots on the ground. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you were at the outdoor classic at the Air Force Academy as well,
Mhm.
correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was there.
So
Yeah.
nice. So look at you getting to cover a couple of outdoor games in your, short but fruitful writing career, Mr. Pro Hockey Writers Association, Scott McDonald.
That's it.
Can I attach that to the front of your name and just say that every time? Like
I was gonna say,
you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Can that be my name from here on out?
Yeah. Mr. Pro Hockey Writers Association, Scott McDonald.
The second.
Second. I gotta take a nap after I say that.
Exactly. Yeah. Get some oxygen. Damn.
Seriously, this high altitude, I can't handle it. Ugh. Oh man, get me the oxygen tank. Oh, well, hey, as we do, let's talk real quick about the collegiate game. As we've also covered in the past episodes, the 3 collegiate teams we cover are not doing so hot this year. Yeah. And so let's start off with, of course, Denver University, the Pioneers, 7-12-1. They are 5th place out of 8 teams in the NCHC. Had a tough couple of games against North Dakota. Of course, North Dakota always a bit of a powerhouse. So their first game, 3-0 shutout. Ow. Second game, 5-2 loss. And that was on February 13th and 14th. So that's Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, that was a little rough. But honestly, like, I took a look at the NCHC standings again today. And let's see here. I want to bring this up and just kind of point this out to people. Let me do a quick screen share. Hang on a sec. Share screen. All right, we're going to bump over to Chrome tab and let's see. Yeah, let's do Front Range Hockey. Okay. So look at the standings. You've got North Dakota with 44 points, St. Cloud State with 40 points, Nebraska Omaha with 38, Minnesota Duluth with 39. And then this, 13, 14 point drop off between the haves and the have nots of the NCHC. Denver, 25 points, Western Michigan, 27, Colorado College, 15, Miami, 18. I mean, yeah, it's just like the glut of those first 4 teams, and they're hockey powerhouses. I mean, these names are not like, granted, Denver and Colorado College, they're powerhouses in their own right, but yeah.
I'm a little bit shocked by that. Like, normally the St. Cloud States and the UNOs are usually, down there, and they're obviously having a great year, and it's usually kind of just North Dakota and Denver fighting for that number 1 spot, and then, Minnesota Duluth is up there too. So interesting year. I mean, we've touched on it quite a few times. Like, I don't know what happened in Denver. I get people in my mentions all the time on Twitter asking me, like, what's going on with Denver? And I was like, well, I don't know. I'm not, like, in the locker room. I couldn't tell you, like, what the strategies are and what the game plans are. Like, all I know is, yeah, they're struggling. And like I've said a few times, they've, lost some leadership and lost a bunch of, like, really impactful seniors. And they're a very young team. And just like we touched on at the beginning of the podcast, like with the Eagles and the Avs, like it's a learning curve that, you put a bunch of young people together for the first year team or whatever it is. And, you don't have time to do that off-season training because you can't, because of, like, the COVID restrictions and things like that. And they're just kind of, like, behind it a little bit, and it takes some time to catch up. And, for Denver, it's apparently going to take a full season to catch up, but that's okay. I mean, I fully expect them. They're going to come back a year stronger and a year more mature, and hopefully build from this experience. And we'll see them in the top 2 or 3 of the NCHC standings again.
Yeah, and exactly like you said earlier, when it came to, professional chemistry versus collegiate chemistry, you're with those guys, you're with the same team for 4 years, and you're building. You got guys coming in, you got guys leaving, of course, but there's no, trades, there's no, free agent signings and things like that. So it's like there's a different element to it for sure. And
totally.
The second game I wanted to touch on, I'll do this with Colorado College too, because their 2 games set. The second game was notable as well. We'll get to that here in a moment. But the second game for Denver was kind of, okay, like I said, 5-2 loss there on Valentine's Day. But Denver actually, like, they got out to a good start. They I think they scored the first 2 goals, I want to say, in that game. And then, yeah, I'll have to see now I've got to double check it because I didn't write it down and my memory is failing me. But I do have a quote from their coach here. Give me just a second while I pull that up. So, okay, they played against North Dakota. Okay, here's that. Sorry for the delay. But they played against North Dakota, 5-2 loss. So they actually traded goals back and forth, and it was actually a 2-2 game after 2 periods. I'm confusing it with the Colorado College game I'm going to mention, but 2-2 game after 2 periods, and then through the middle of the second period rather, and then North Dakota comes back and scores 3 goals straight. So I pulled up a quote from the head coach David Carl. He said, "I liked the start of our game. I thought we had some urgency. They seemed a little sleepy to start the hockey game, and obviously they got going as the game went on. Ultimately, we gave them too much life." So, yeah, they hung in there, but then they just let their foot off the gas about halfway through the game and just let North Dakota, come back and take it from them. So there's that, unfortunately. And the Pioneers' next game is going to be February 25th. That's a Thursday against Colorado College at the World Arena there in Colorado Springs. In fact, the final 4 games of the season, because of COVID cancellations and everything, are going to be DU versus CC. So gold pan your heart out.
So that's the ideal way to end the year. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've got essentially no postseason to play for. So why not play your hearts out against your main rival there, Colorado College and Denver University? That's going to be great. That's going to be fun.
Totally.
So speaking of Colorado College, 3-13-2, 7th out of 8 in the NCHC, 7-1 loss against Nebraska Omaha there. Ugh. And then the 3-2 loss. This is the heartbreaker. This is the one that I was confusing with the latter game for Denver. So we'll talk about this real quick. They started off the game. So it said, despite a pair of goals from senior co-captain Grant Cruikshank. There we go. Grant Cruikshank. Colorado College dropped a 3-2 decision to 10th ranked Omaha Saturday at Baxter Arena there in Nebraska. So they got up by 2 goals. Cruikshank struck again at the 3:45 mark of the second period to give the Tigers a 2-0 lead. They had a 2-0 lead on Nebraska Omaha. And then they let him get back into the game. And then with 61 seconds left, I mean, yeah, Colorado College, they lost on the last second goal, I believe, to Nebraska Omaha earlier in the season in overtime. And then with 61 seconds left in regulation, Kirby Proctor of the Mavericks scored. And that was the game-winning goal. 3-2. They score 3 unanswered goals, and it's just like, man, Colorado College cannot get a single break this year.
God.
Brutal. Just so brutal. So anyway, yeah, next game is going to be against the University of Minnesota Duluth. That's going to be fun, of course, because they're one of the halves in the NCHC, and not instead of a have-not. But that'll be on Thursday, February 18th. Oh, wait, that's when we're recording. It's going on right now. So that result's going to be final once you're listening to this. But yeah, you can listen to it right now, actually, on KRDO 105.5 and 92.5 FM or 1240 AM if you prefer the AM side of the dial. So mercifully, the NCHC quarterfinals start on Friday, March 12th. So like I said, enjoy those last 4 games with the Gold Pan series between Denver and Colorado College to close out the year. That'll be fun. That'll be, again, with nothing really to play for postseason wise, that will be their postseason. So
totally.
Yes.
Yeah. Give the fans something to get excited for, I guess. Like, I mean, it's it's going to be a battle for the ages, I guess, between 2 like very, sub 500 mediocre teams, but it's still fun, at least for the players, like the guys on the ice. I mean, they love those games, and like, it's good for them and good for the fans, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I wish it was like a little they had something more to play for, but it is what it is.
It is. And we're just gonna do this weird ass 4-game set for the Gold Pan. Yeah. So anyway, last but not least, they are least, Air Force Academy. 1-9-1 still. They are 11th out of 11 teams in the Atlantic Hockey Division. Their final 2 games are going to be against Canisius on Friday, February 19th and Saturday, February 20th. The Friday game starts at 7:05 p.m. Mountain. The Saturday game starts at 5:05 p.m. Mountain. You can catch those games on Flow Hockey on video, or if you want to listen on sports radio, Extra Sports Radio, 1300 AM down there in the Springs. So that's all I have to say about Air Force Academy, because they got that win. They got that overtime win against Bentley on February 1st.
Thank God.
So
they needed
hell
that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, they did. So wait to not pull a Detroit Lions and go 0-16.
Yeah, that's again, it's all about the moral victories for when you're on a team that's like not that bad, like not that good, then every win feels like, the Stanley Cup victory. So it's good for them for at least, cleaning their record a little bit. But better luck next year. Again, just like every other Colorado collegiate hockey team. They're all looking forward to the next schedule release already.
If you're wondering why I kind of laughed there, Scott gave a grimace. That was yeah, kind of an ee. If you're not watching the video, it was pretty much all three teams in a blender in one look.
Yeah.
So yeah. But all right, last portion of the show, asking the feed. We've only got 3 questions tonight, but that's okay because we're about 45 minutes into it and we need to wrap it up. So Scott, you ready for this, brother?
Always.
All right, man, let's get started. Joseph Wills at hockey_jerseys. He is the Carolina Hurricanes correspondent for Full Press Hockey. Hey, that's where I work.
Hey-o.
So yeah, he covers Carolina for them. He actually did a really good piece recently on why the outdoor game isn't taking place at the North Carolina State outdoor venue football stadium like it was supposed to. So it's a little bit of humor spliced in there. So good little article, good little fun article he did for Full Press. So go and check that out, fullpresshockey.com. His question is, have the Avs actually won an outdoor game? If they lose Saturday, are they invited back to another one? And then he had the whole thinking face emoji like, are they? So
well, yeah, to answer that question, no, they have not won a single one. No. I think so. They've been, is it 2?
Yeah, they had the Stadium Series at Coors against the Red Wings.
Yeah, and the Stadium Series that's last year's at Air Force Stadium. So yeah, this will be the 3rd one. They are 0-2. They have not won a single one. Last year's are just like heartbreaking, man. Like that one, we could talk about, like all the traffic and shit that happened with all that. Like that was not a nightmare on the NHL's behalf. Like some dude actually like ended up dying because of like all of this. And
that's right.
People were just like getting out of their car. Like it was like super cold, and it was at the point where like it was a 3 or 4 hour just like wait to get out of the parking lot, and seemingly there was like no staff, no like traffic staff to like redirect people or anything. It was kind of just like every man for themselves, and it's an Air Force base, right? Like so it's a secured facility. There's only like one way in, one way out, and that's just kind of a nightmare to begin with. Something that I don't think they thought about when like, oh yeah, there's going to be thousands of cars pouring into this place, all trying to use the same entrance and the same exit. Like, maybe this isn't like the best idea to hold it here. But it was cool. The game was cool. The setting was cool. But yeah, I think it ended up being just a big loss for not only the Avalanche, but for the fans and anyone that was there. Like I had to stay behind and like do my writing or whatever, which ended up being a blessing in disguise because I got to wait in the warm press box, like while I can look out at like the parking lot and just see the sea of like red and white lights of cars, and it was a nightmare. But hopefully this year I guess there's gonna be no fans at Lake Tahoe, so we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I think Bednar actually touched on it to answer the second part of that question a little bit today or Thursday during his media availability about how like exciting it is to host another one of these things, which technically, by the way, the Avs are the home team for this.
Okay.
Which is interesting, but whatever. So they're not like hosting it, obviously, but to be like have so many of these like events in as many years as they've done it. Like obviously they're a favorite of the NHL. They've become kind of a favorite son of the league, if you will. And Bednar kind of touched on that during his media availability on Thursday, just about how it's cool that we're a marketable team, and we're obviously exciting, and it's a testament to the organization and how quickly they've built themselves up from the 2016-17 season when they were the worst team in league history to now, slowly rising up the rankings, becoming the favorites this year. And, he said like we have star power and, we're obviously a fun team, and that's just, it speaks volumes about the organization. So as far as, hosting another one or playing in another one, like I think they'll probably keep coming regardless if they win or not, because it's really not about them winning or anything. It's just, about how marketable of a product it is for the NHL. And, anytime you have Cale Makar, Bowen Byram, Nathan McKinnon on the same sheet of ice, I think they're always going to be one of the most exciting teams. And the NHL recognizes that, and they want eyes on NBC Network, and they want to be selling seats eventually when fans are allowed back in. So I fully expect the Avs to be hosting a few more of these, or playing in a few more of these things as we move along. But maybe they get a break because they've had a few years in a row now they've gotten one. So
right,
maybe it's time to give like the Dallas Stars of the league, which is cool that they kind of went outside their market. And I went to that Winter Classic game. I guess it was January 2019 heading into 2020. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, that sounds
yeah.
right.
So it was like in Dallas, and it's cool that they're trying to like expand their horizon a little bit. And Carolina was supposed to host one, and that's kind of a team that doesn't get enough credit, and they probably should. So hopefully, if we're moving away from the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Boston Bruins, the Philadelphia Flyers, like it's the same old Chicago Blackhawks, like all the original 6 teams, like it's the same old like song and dance. And I think people are kind of catching on to that. And it's like, let's start, the fucking Florida Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning in Miami or something. Like, let's start, spreading our wings a little bit. And, when Seattle gets their team next year, I fully expect them to get one probably right off the bat. Like, I'm sure, the 2021-22 season, I guess probably not that one because Carolina's getting rescheduled for that. So
right, but
the 22-23 season or whatever, like, expect Seattle to be hosting one.
Yeah, that would be cool at the Seattle Seahawks football stadium there. I don't think it's called CenturyLink anymore. I can't remember.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but that would be cool. I also think it'd be cool to kind of wrap that up. Mile High Stadium, of course, that's the low-hanging fruit, to pack all those fans in there. That's going to sell out.
Totally.
Or even Folsom Field in Boulder. I think that would be a neat backdrop with all the Flatirons over there.
Yeah, I actually saw a tweet about that. Like it was like a snow covered. I think that like the CU Bus like handle might have actually like tweeted it out. But I think like the NHL said, or some verified accounts, like where would you want to see like the next like outdoor game like held or whatever, and like they quote tweeted it, and it was like a picture of like a beautiful snowy Folsom Field, and they're like, I mean, this like speaks for itself, and it's like, hey, I mean, I'm gonna speak biasly for a second, like. Let's go Buffs! Like I'm a CU Buffs grad. Like I love Boulder, and that'd be a dream come true for me to like. Come full circle studying journalism and studying at that school and having so many good memories in Boulder to covering an event like there as a credentialed like writer would be pretty awesome selfishly for me.
Sure.
And, I mean, it's cool. It's like, it's a small town. Like, I mean, Boulder's not that small, but relatively speaking, where they like to host these things, it's usually pretty like large scale. So I think having it in like a little quaint, Flatirons backdrop of Boulder, I think that'd be a cool spot to do it.
I agree. Yeah, obviously I do because I brought it up, but
yeah, and you live here too, so I mean,
I do.
Like,
yeah, no, those 2 venues would be great to host an NHL game, and I think logistically you'd have a lot less of a problem at Mile High and at Boulder, and hopefully, Lord willing, they'll get that light rail line, going out to Boulder.
Eventually, they keep talking about it.
They do.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, they just opened the one up, going up to Thornton here where I'm at. Mm-hmm. But I digress. We'll talk public transportation later. No, we won't.
That's our different podcast. Yeah,
that's our different podcast. Scott and CC
Front Range Transportation. Yeah,
Front Range Transportation. Front Range Light Rail. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that would be an interesting podcast. But all right. Next question. Thank you, Joseph, for your question, sir. Always appreciate your input. David Nola at David Nola 985. Does Erik Johnson have a history of concussions? Worried about how long he has been out. Hopefully it's precautionary. Scott, I'll let you field this one, man.
Sure thing. I couldn't tell you. I'm not sure if Erik Johnson has a history of concussions, but I think, that's what we're all expecting this upper body injury to be, just based on, what we saw when he got nailed by the Minnesota Wild player and just like kind of smacked his face pretty hard on the ice. It's, I mean, you can put 2 and 2 together pretty easily there and just say it's a concussion. But, Bednar again today, Thursday, someone asked about it, and he said, Erik Johnson's not going to be a player for us in the near future. Like
Right.
he's out long term. So it's not precautionary. To answer your question, David, it's going to be quite some time, and I guess maybe it's a pretty severe one if he's going to be out a while, because most concussions, I guess it kind of depends on the severity of it, but I guess maybe it's probably like a month recovery, maybe.
If
And
it's
that
super severe, you could sit out all year, like Sid the Kid did a number of years ago.
exactly.
But that
Or,
was yeah,
yeah.
that was a severe case.
Yeah, so we'll see. And hopefully it's only like a month or so. And obviously it's pretty serious. We talked about it a few times with Matt Calvert. Like it's brain injuries are nothing to mess around with, and it's no joke. So better safe than sorry these days. And as data keeps coming out and research keeps developing on the front of CTE and concussions and all the things that happen down the road with that, like yeah, it's better safe than sorry. It's like even if he says he feels okay and he passed all the tests, like why don't you sit out another week or two? Just see, how you feel after that, and let's take it slow. So
then it would
yeah,
definitely be precautionary for sure. But
exactly.
right now, it's just like for the foreseeable future, Erik Johnson, not an option for the Avalanche for defense.
According to Jared Bednar, yep, he's going to be out for some time.
Jared Bednar, I think he's a pretty reliable source. Wouldn't you say so?
I would say he probably knows the players better than most most people, and media included, ourselves included. Like, I think he knows what he's talking about, and maybe a little bit of his it's CYA covering his ass a little bit, because he called a lot of like these injuries a couple weeks ago, week to week, and they ended up being more like day to day. But it's better to I guess like oversell, or what is that, like over promise or under promise, over deliver. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there you go.
So I think that's
over promise and under deliver.
Okay. Oh, brain fart. So I think that's what he's doing. But yeah, with either way, Erik Johnson, he's going to be out for some time.
Yep. Thank you for the question, David. Appreciate it. Yeah, there's been a few episodes in a row that he's had a question, so always good to have
number one fan.
Yeah, well, he's up there.
Shout out David. Yeah.
There's like 1A, 1B, 1C.
There's tiers for sure. He's up there. He's up
there for sure. Yeah. I'll give you that. Karen Sherritt at Karen Sherritt 4. That's CHERRETT 4. Your thoughts on team fitness and stamina playing 15 games a month. What are your thoughts on our goalie situation with Frankie? Our long term? Sorry, there was no punctuation mark, so I'm like, Frankie, our long term?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure what she's asking there. What are your thoughts on Frankie?
Maybe
Frankie out long term. Okay.
Out long term. There we go. It's just
they saying like Frankie, our long term like backup option. I was like, I'd say so.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I thought. But yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, playing 15 games in a month. That's it's every other day. And Bednar's talked about it quite a few times, just about the players need to be like open and honest with him, and that's why the taxi squad is going to be so important. That's kind of why the NHL developed this idea of a taxi squad. One, just because we don't know how many people are going to get COVID or whatever, and we want the games to keep playing. But two, it's about kind of leveraging that taxi squad for resting guys that you need to rest. Like it's because it's going to be a quick sprint of a season, and now with obviously the cancellations and all the rescheduling that's happening, and now we get 15 games in 30 days, like. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be taxing on the players, and I don't expect them to be practicing a lot. Like they're going to need those days off, and fitness is definitely going to be an issue. And again, that's going to be something that the players have to kind of put the onus on themselves and be like, look, Bednar, like I need a breather. I need to take a timeout. Like especially guys like McCarr and McKinnon and some of your top guys that are playing 20 to 25 minutes a night. Like that's just not sustainable for. Like moving forward and playing that many games. So I expect them to leverage that taxi squad and, bring up some of those AHL veterans. Like we've seen Megna a couple of times and Dries and, the O'Connors of the world that are, going to sub in like every once in a while to give those guys, a couple more days off. So I think that's going to be their plan moving forward. And it's going to be tough on those players. Thoughts on the goalie situation? Yeah. Now, like Miska being out obviously doesn't help, but I mean, as we know now that he's not going to be out as long as possible. But I think the Avs want to give a long, hard look at Hunter Miska, and I thought he's played very well in the 2 games he started, and maybe people don't think he has, but I don't think either of those losses were his fault. I think he was standing on his head both those games and playing very well and poised for being such a young guy. And we've seen what he can do in the AHL with the Eagles, and he can be a starter and he can play against, some of the best. And, when you're practicing with the Nathan McKinnons and the Cale McCarrs and guys like that, it kind of speeds up your development a little. And I think they want to give him a few more games and see how he does. But, I think at this point we're kind of worried about Philip Grubauer and, his workload, because he's been playing incredible. Like he's, like I've said a few times, the MVP of the Avs this year. And, he's standing on his head night in and night out and stealing some wins for the Avalanche. And you get worried about, him kind of pulling a groin or something, or playing that many games in such a short period of time. Like it's going to be tough. But I don't think like right now they're looking at options. I'm sure they're always looking at options in the trade market, but I think they want to kind of give a good long hard look at Hunter Miska and give him a few more games out of these 15 that are going to happen in the next like month, and see what he can do. And I think he's a very capable backup option for sure.
And depending on when Francouz comes back, obviously like we talked about, it's going to be an extended period of time. We don't know an exact day of when he's going to come back or anything like that, but yeah, it's always, knee jerk reactions when it comes to the goaltending depth chart. Of course, of course the Henrik Lundqvist rumors last year when, Grubauer was down with an injury and Francouz had to step up, and you had Hunter Miska backing him up. It's never ending. Goaltender is probably the most important position on the ice. So when you get uncertainty like this, fans get a little nervous. So I understand Karen's question, and Scott, as always, providing clarity, dropping the knowledge bombs on them. So
you know what, CC, we did just get one last minute question. I know we're running out of time here, but we'll answer it really quickly. I feel bad. Yeah. So far this season, who is the one guy on the bench that has been the most disappointing to you, and who would you rather see in their place? And I think to me, that's an easy one. That's Ryan Graves. And I think Ryan Graves will tell you too that he's disappointed in himself. Yeah. And just hasn't been, his year after what we saw as a top pairing guy with Cale Makar last year. I mean, he was kind of a revelation. It's like, wow, this guy came out of nowhere, like an AHL depth signing that, of course, Joe Sakic, being the magician he is, like found this guy, like, and, turned him into a bona fide NHL starter. And obviously he's regressed quite a bit this year, and he said it too. He's like, I've had my ups and downs this year, and I'm kind of bummed out with myself, but he's kind of learning that his role has changed, and he's had those conversations with Bednar about how he's not the top power play guy anymore, and he's not going to play with Cale Makar. And I think it's caused him to kind of totally change his game up to more of a defensive guy. And Bednar said that he's like, I want you to be. It's like he's a big body. He's like 6'4", right? And like I want you to be the PK guy, and I want you to be the guy standing in front of the net, pushing people out of the way, and I want you to be like a little bit meaner. And that's just not what he's used to playing. And it's been an adjustment period. Like we've said a few times, throughout this podcast, it's an adjustment period for everyone. So early on in the season, and it is for him too. I think he's played considerably better, in the last like couple of weeks. Still kind of has his moments, but he's definitely kind of settling into his new role and playing well. So I don't think I'd rather see anyone in his place. I think you gotta let him kind of go through the motions and discover it for himself.
Yeah. And last second question, that was from Matthew. I think it's Villanueva. Yeah. Unpucky guy. So yeah, Graves. Yeah, you pull him away from one of the best defensemen of the game and kind of ask him to revamp that game. That's a tough ask. But totally. he's reworking. He's doing the best he can there. And yeah, thanks for the last minute. Thanks for the last minute getting that question under the gun. We tend to do that with news, with questions.
Yeah, it's always breaking news. It's like, see, I got an email from NHL Publications. I was like, oh, here we go. I'm gonna have to break some news again. But
nothing noteworthy for.
Well, I thought it was my game. So they changed one of the games of Lake Tahoe due to Sunday's forecast of sunlight with no cloud cover. In the interest of player safety, the start time for NHL or the Honda NHL Outdoors Sunday Classic between the Philadelphia Flyers and Boston Bruins has been changed to 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay.
It's like that would have really screwed me if it was like 11 a.m. because again, like I can't pick up my rental car till like 6 or 7 in the morning. I'm trying to change that reservation right now, but it's like 4 hours from San Francisco Airport to puck drop at Lake Tahoe's at noon. So I'm gonna be cutting it pretty short.
Wow. Yeah.
So hopefully, things don't change last second because I'll be kind of screwed. I'll be settling in at the first period or something, but.
Hey, hopefully, whatever. Yeah. The time.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, cool, man. That's really neat that you get to go to Lake Tahoe. I wasn't sure the status of that and everything, but yeah, it worked out with Vegas. Vegas is healthy. They're fielding a healthy team. We're good to go there. Same with Colorado for the most part. Guys coming off the COVID-19 protocol list, and they're gearing up and ready to go there in Lake Tahoe. So again, Saturday, that is the 20th. Saturday the 20th at 1 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Eastern. So turn on your TVs to NBC and give that a gander, because that's going to be neat. That's going to be really cool. You're going to see some really cool views too. Game. Yeah,
I'm excited. Never been to Tahoe, and it looks beautiful. I've seen the pictures of the setup, and it's right there on the water. It's like snow-capped mountains. Like it's gonna be gorgeous.
Yeah, you're in for a treat, man. I'm kind of jealous, but I won't let that consume me. I will refrain.
I'll send you plenty of pictures. Don't you worry.
Do it, man. Yeah, post them for sure, and don't forget the swag.
I got you. If I can, I promise you, I'll steal you something.
Sure. Don't steal. Just if you get a second one, there you go. All right. Well, hey. I appreciate that, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's the show for us. Thanks for tuning in to Front Range Hockey. Don't forget to follow our show on pretty well any major podcast platform. That is Google, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We're on all of them. So go and give us a follow. And please give our Twitter account a follow. As you can see, our handle scrolling below there at Front RNG Hockey. So, Scott, we kind of alluded to it a little bit, but I always like to yield the floor and say, hey, where can people find your work?
Totally. Let's see if I can nail this.
Boom.
You can follow me on Twitter at offscottfree. That's 0FF Scott Free. I'm on Twitter every day, all the time. Catch my content at coloradohockeynow.com. I will be one of the few writers at Lake Tahoe, so hopefully I'll bring a different perspective to it than you guys watching it on TV and whatnot. And I'll be taking plenty of pictures and posting it on my Twitter and live tweeting the whole thing. So follow me there, catch the action through my eyes, through my lens, and through my typing fingers.
There you go. And I'm Nchc Hawkley. Once again, you can find my written work at Full Press Hockey. That's www.fullpresshockey.com. If you want to throw the / in there and type in AHL, that's our AHL work too. We got a growing AHL staff, just added another staff member this week. So go and check it out. And you can also check out this and a ton of other great hockey podcasts, plus other great sports pods on the Full Press Radio Network, which we are a part of course. Go check it out at fullpresscoverage.com. Click on the podcast bar and you'll see the drop-down menu, and you have your pick of the litter there of which shows you want to listen to, watch and listen to, for that matter. So that's it for episode number 6. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, thank you again for listening. And as always, stay colorful, my friends. Take care.
Adios, amigos.
Bye.